Your Bible says in 2 Corinthians 11:7, oh, that you would bear with me in a little folly, and indeed you do bear with me, for I am jealous for you with godly jealous, for I have betrothed you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ. But I fear, lest somehow, as the serpent deceived Eve by his cleverness, so your minds may be corrupt from the simplicity that is in Christ. Verse 4. For if he who comes preaching another Jesus, whom we have not preached, or have you received a different spirit which you have not received, or a different gospel which you have not accepted, you may well put up with it. Verse 5, grace 5, 6, and 7 verse.
For I consider myself not in the least inferior to the most eminent apostles. But even if I am unskilled in speech, yet I am not so in knowledge. In fact, in every way have made this evident to be mountains. Or did I commit a sin in humbling myself, so that you might be exalted, because I think God of God to you without Christ?
8 says, I robbed other churches, taking wages from them to minister to you. And when I was present with you and in need, I was a burden to no one. But what I lacked, the brethren who came from Macedonia supplied. And in everything I keep myself from being burdensome to you. And so I will keep myself. As the truth of Christ is in me, no one shall stop me from this boasting in the region of Canaan. 11, Fred, did you find it? 11:11.
Nevertheless, neither is man independent of women.
No, that's not 2 Corinthians 11.
It's a beautiful morning.
Good morning.
Beautiful morning. That's beautiful.
Did you get 2 Corinthians?
11:11.
That was the message this morning. Yes, it was. Let me see. We have somebody in there, correct?
Why? Because I do not love you. God knows. But what I do, I will also continue to do, that I may cut off the opportunities from those who desires an opportunity to be regarded just as we are in the things of which we boast. They boast. For such are false apostles,
Deceitful.
deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan himself transformed himself into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his minister also transfers themselves into the ministries of righteousness, whose end will be according to their works.
I say again, let no man think me a fool, if otherwise, yet as a fool receive me, that I may boast myself a little. That which I speak it not after the Lord, but as it were foolishly in this confidence of boasting. Seeing that many glory after the flesh, I will glory also. For you suffer fools gladly, seeing you yourselves are wise. For you endure, if a man bring you into bondage, if a man devour you, if a man take of you, if a man exalt himself, if a man smite you on the face.
To my shame, I must say that we have been weak by comparison. But in whatever respect anyone else is bold, I speak in foolishness. I am just bold myself. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they descendants of Abraham? so am I. Are they servants of Christ? I speak as if it's saying. I more so inform on labors in formal imprisonment, beaten times without numbers, often in danger of death.
24, Steve.
2 Corinthians
It's Steve.
No,
Oh, 2 Corinthians 11, we're down to verse 24.
After the Jews 5 times received our 40 stripes, save one. Thrice was I beaten with rods, once was I stoned, twice I suffered shipwreck, a night and a day I have been in the deep. In journeys, often in pearls of water, in pearls of robbers, in pearls by my own countrymen, in pearls by the heathen, in pearls in the city, in pearls in the wilderness, in pearls in the sea, in pearls among false brethren. Do I keep going? 27? Do I keep going?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
27.
Yeah, do 27, then
Yeah.
Calvert can take 28.
And
But they just keep
and
moving.
faithfulness, and watching often in hunger and thirst, and fasting often in cold and
Calvert, 28.
Today, apart from such extreme things, there is daily pressure on me of concern for all churches. Who is weak without my being weak? Without my being weak? Who is led into sin without my intent? Concern. If I have to boast, I will boast of what pertains to my weakness. God and the Father of the Lord Jesus Christ, who is blessed forever, knows that I am not mine.
Where?
32.
32, two more verses.
Go ahead, John.
In Damascus, under Artus, the king was guarding the city of the Damascens, in order to seize me, and I let down a basket through a window in the wall, and so escaped his hands.
Okay, I apologize, guys, because I was trying to get my 12, and I don't see my 2 Corinthians 12, and I did. I said it should have popped up, and it didn't pop up. And I went to go on the inbox on my email, and it won't come up either. I don't know where it is. But anyway, I said, so maybe I know I did it at the house. Maybe I didn't send it. Yeah, maybe I didn't send it. Yeah, maybe it's just still at the house, sitting on my computer at the house. But anyway,
That happens.
yeah, but anyway, by looking at this, remember Paul made a statement in 22, are they Hebrews, so am I, are they Israel, so am I, are they seeds of Abraham, so am I. And then he went to 23, and in verse 3 and 23, he says, are they ministers of Christ? And he says, are they ministers of Christ? And he didn't say, hey, he didn't have to say, so am I. You see what I'm saying? That's the issue, because he didn't have to say, so am I. Because he hit them with something. And what did he hit them with? He brought that to their attention, because remember he started off with, oh, that you would bear with me in a little folly, and indeed not to bear with me. Remember he stated that? He says in verse 4, for if he comes preach another Jesus whom we have not preached, or if you receive different spirits, but you have not received a different gospel, what you have not accepted, you may well put up with it. Remember when he said all this? Then he goes on farther, and where was it? He says, over here at 16, he says, I say again, let no one think me a fool, if otherwise at least receive me as a fool, that I also may boast a little. When I speak not according to the Lord, but as it were foolish in this confidence of boasting. Seeing that many boast according to the flesh, I also will boast So then Paul says, I want you to listen to my boasting. Listen to what I have to say. You listen to everybody else. You put up with everybody else's foolishness.
Yeah.
You didn't have a problem with it. You said it was A-okay. So then listen to mine. So then Paul starts to mention he's a Hebrew, Israel, seed of Abraham. But he also mentions the ministry of Christ in 23. And he says, I speak as a fool. See it? I am in labor more abundantly, and stripes more measured, and prisons more frequent, and death often. From the Jews 5 times I received 40 stripes. Listen to what he's saying. 25, he says 3 times I was beaten, right? With a rod, once I was stoned, 3 times I was shipwrecked at night and day I've been in the deep. And so he keeps going, right? He keeps going and going and going. That's the question that we need to ask. Is it Paul just making up stuff? Or is Paul speaking the truth?
The truth.
So then I've said that because what were the others then doing?
They were speaking foolishness.
So they were speaking foolishness. So then, if you've got your papers, I'm at 24 is where we stopped at. 24.
24.
I know Kevin ain't going to be with us long, so he'll give me back mine. But 24, because I do understand. So please don't anyone take it the wrong way. I says that was something that took place earlier in this church, earlier this morning. I says, which was very disturbing. I says, and I didn't have any brothers to be here to help. So it left me once again where I had to deal with it on my own. So I said, I can't say it enough. I just wish that we could change things, and we need to be here. I can't say it enough. So, but I said, but it's said and done. Police hadn't even come out. That's what I'm talking about. And I had no brothers, so I was here once again. I said, maybe I shouldn't open the doors to you all. Come, then maybe that'll stop this.
About Warren.
Then we open it up at 11.
Then the
Then we
devil.
open it up at 9.
Then the devil would be cheering that we live in fear. But see, God is so faithful. He's not going to let anything happen. He gave you wisdom to know what to do.
Amen.
So if we start falling victim to fear, like, we're in the chaos right now with this virus. And the devil is having so much fun.
But it's not even falling into fear because I wasn't.
I know you weren't afraid.
Yeah,
You did the right thing.
It's just, where are we? We should be here. That's all I'm saying. And I understand time change.
But today was a unique day.
That's what I said. I
Yeah.
understand time change.
Yeah, time change.
But it was perfect for Satan to do what he did, because where are my brothers?
That's right.
That's where I was at. Where are
You're
they?
right. You're right.
And my sister was sitting in here. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't walk away to take care of the problem because my sister was here, and I have to protect her. But anyway, bottom line is, he says, if you got your papers.
You want that read?
Yeah, he says, Paul's
imprisonment recorded in Acts, and his second Roman imprisonment, 2 Timothy 1:8.
So I've given you where Paul was in prison. I said in 2 Timothy 1:8, go ahead.
Only the one of Philippi had been taken as Paul penned this passage. How many other times he was in prison is unknown. The church father Clement of Rome, writing at the closing of the first century, said Paul was in prison seven times.
So can you look at it? Paul was in prison how many times?
7.
7 times, guys. I said, and we would be fussing one time. I said, and then he went in prison 7 times. And remember, on the 7 times, you have to also think, Paul just don't go to prison, but when you go to in prison, when you were in prison then, at that time, what usually happened? What'd you say? You were beaten. I says, a lot of times you don't hear it even with today's time. I says, you don't hear it. I says, these chase, you know, they're on the freeway and they doing these chases and, you know, people just acting a fool. What you're doing is you're embarrassing the police department. And they can't, they're trying to get you to stop. You won't stop. They had one last night. The dude actually jumped out of the car, and the other night, jumped out of the car, run across the freeway, and somebody clipped him.
And
And he recovered. But somebody had to clip him. This is so that you don't respect the police. So what they do is because Facebook is out. So what they do is they wait, they get you down to where they need to get you. And then when they get you where they need to get you, then they send another prison inmate to start to beat you. Because I can't, you know, it won't look right. Because remember, you just shamed them. You just embarrassed them. Instead of just saying, okay, yeah, we're right, I stole a car, let me pull over. Now, that way now you pull me over, then you take me in. But you want to embarrass the police department. So we used to call it the rubber hose. You know what the rubber hose is, right? It leaves no marks, the rubber hose. But you don't have to do that anymore. You simply say, well, an inmate, we put him in, and an inmate got him. An inmate beat him up. And that's why he's got a black eye. That's why, well, so what do? You say what I'll do is lessen your sentence if you take care of business from me. And so, there you go. But anyway, the bottom line is, these are, what I'm speaking of are those that, I want to say deserve it, but you know what I'm saying. You did this and then you did that. And so, this is what's expected. But this man didn't do anything. This man, all he did was preach the gospel. Preach the gospel 7 times, I think. Mine show, I think we got the next verse, talking about 5 times. You see it?
Yeah.
He's got, along with him, President Paul has been meeting time without numbers. That's the time without numbers that you don't know about. Those are the times without numbers. I said, and then I got 5 times right. See it?
Yes.
You got, you don't have your paper 5 times?
5 times, right.
Uh-huh.
None of these events are.
And if you notice, when you start to search for them, they're not recorded. Okay?
Christ rods, only one event is recorded.
Go ahead.
1 stone, shipwreck 3 times. None of these recorded. The shipwreck recorded in Acts 27 happened after this writing. This means he was shipwrecked at least 4 times. Just imagine the terror. Journeys often perilous and fatiguing, dangerous, and uncomfortable. Peril of water, literally, rivers, swollen streams, flash floods. There were few bridges in that day. Perils of robbers, prepare the good Samaritan. This is due to the fact that Paul preached a crucified Messiah to all men instead of a Messiah of glory who was to come to free Israel and set the nation up as the leading nation of the world, a salvation of grace instead of law, a faith instead of works. Perils from the heathen, for example, in Philippi and in Ephesus. Perils in the city, for example, at Damascus and at Ephesus. Perils in the wilderness, for example, exposure to heat, cold storms, wild animals, and robbers. Perils of the sea, for example, pirates and unexpected storms. Perils among false brothers, those who profess to be Christians, yet were only making false professions and stood as a constant threat in opposing the mission of the church and the true minister of Christ.
By the way, that's only 3 verses
Right.
that I want you to see. That's only 3 verses that he's talking about all these troublesome times that he's had. It's enough to someone that is not in Christ to say, I'm done. I'm out. Right, I'm out. I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to keep getting beat like this. You know, it's enough for Paul to be highly discouraged. Where are my brothers? This is where I said this would have came up whether you all, what you didn't do this Sunday or not. But this is where he's at. Where are they? You know, hey, it's almost where I was sitting now. Can you imagine Paul feeling lonely? Can you imagine Paul, what'd you say?
Feeling defeated.
Yes, can you imagine? Remember there was one other apostle too that was the last one that was around, remember?
Yeah.
And he was put on the island of what? Patmos. Remember? John. And he even made the statement, hey, I'm the last of the apostles, as if to say, this is a waste of time. Well, we did all of this. I watched each and every one of my brothers go down. Horrible deaths. Horrible deaths. And now they're sending me to the island of Patmos. Now they've got this huge tank of boiling oil that awaits me. Now I'm going to go in this, so this is it. So it's almost the idea of someone that was on the cross and said, my God, why has thou forsaken me?
But Jesus predicted it.
What's that?
Jesus predicted it. He told them before he left. That's why they needed the comforter.
And I agree with you more than 100% because you are very right. You ever have somebody tell you something to reality hits? Did you hear me? You know, you can tell me don't do this and don't do that, right? And then when it happens,
be like, wow.
all of a sudden, but he told you were going to suffer.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm aware of it. And in Paul's case, look at all that he went through. So here's the question when we get over to 2 Corinthians 12 chapter. Paul had went to the third heavens. So when we see this, maybe that was the strength that Paul needed. Maybe that was what God did, because God knew that Paul would have to go through all of these trials and tribulations. I say this, guys, because it was Paul that went through this. Don't get me wrong, your Acts the 4th chapter shows where Peter then were put in jail. And we don't have a number of how many times they were put in jail. But to see what's going on and to see those, that's why I said to see Brother Timothy, Paul mentoring Brother Timothy and Titus, Paul preparing them mentally to see their leader in and out of jail, to see their leader beaten, to see their leader, he's slimmer than what he normally was when he left. I'm saying he's got scars all over him that, you didn't have this when we saw you. What's going on? And to have Paul not speak on any of this, because you're going to see in 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, you're going to see. But what I want you to see is all this that has taken place. And then you ask yourself, what do you do for Christ? Where's your sacrifice for Christ? Just, I'd like to make Bible studies, but I'm just so tired. The Bible says Paul was what? At times cold and didn't have enough clothes. Hungry and didn't have food. I says, Paul, that's enough I know for this church to stop. We say, oh, no, I got to go do this. I got to go do that. You hear the sacrifice? This is a sacrifice. If anything, this is a great testimony of Paul saying, this is what has taken place. That's why we see, when we go into our Bible and we look at Hebrews, the 11th chapter, and what do we see? We see those that had faith, and what do we see of them? We see them going through changes and not even receiving. This is a promise, not even seeing it. But yet they were faithful. I think that's what God is, when he speaks of that remnant. I think that's what he's talking about. Are you willing to make sacrifices in your life? Or is it just when things are convenient, then we do these things? Are comfortable when we do these things. Because if anything that takes us out of comfort, then we want to go that, someone said that extra mile. No, that extra yard. Those extra feet. You see what I'm saying? We won't go there because that inconveniences us. And then we wonder and look out and say, what's wrong with the church? Where are the people? Why are my sisters? We got that, Dwayne. We got that when the sisters mentioned, sisters aren't as friendly. Remember we got that. Where is that? What's going on? Why aren't the sisters as friendly? Last time I checked, it's the brothers that lead. Last time I checked, it's the brothers that lead. Well, we don't do that. You don't do that particular thing. But you do. See what I'm saying? That's where I'm at. So that's why I said I can't beat my sisters up. I have to evaluate the brothers. I have to evaluate myself. Where are you? Where are you when someone is crying out? Can they call you anytime they feel like it? I had a young lady call me the other day, last night. Just talking. I says, I don't know how Renee felt, but I says I left it on speaker to make sure that she could hear everything. I had one prior call me the other day, left it on speaker, so she could hear everything. Why? Because I said, somebody said, well, you're the preacher. I think it goes beyond preacher. I think this is what I'm speaking of, and I think this is what I see in Paul. It goes beyond him just being a preacher. Whatever happened to being a brother, whatever happened to being a friend, whatever happened to being just a man of God. Don't have to have a title. Yes, you have.
Okay, that's a stereotype in the sense that it's always been the preacher, especially in black congregations.
Okay.
So if another brother who's
Go
not
ahead.
a preacher
Go ahead.
talks to a woman, they get the wrong impression.
Right.
I've seen it here. I felt it here.
I have too.
That when you try to talk to some of the women,
Mm-hmm.
they won't talk to me or Steve or Calvert per se,
Okay.
but they will talk to you.
Okay.
And I don't know why it's that way, but it is.
And I'll tell you,
Go ahead.
just a number three. The reason is because people put the pastor on a pedestal.
Come on.
He will not do this. He is above anything. But what we as a people, especially females, what we need to realize, pastor is pastor, but he's still a man.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they look at you and Kim and Steve and Calvert, well, they're just the brothers of the church. They might, try a little sneaky hit or something. But oh no, he's the pastor. Warren is the pastor. He would never, because he knows. But I'll never forget this. When I went to the other place, the other church that I went to, Faithful Central, I remember Bishop getting up saying one day, he said, let me tell you ladies something. When we go to these picnics, don't come talking to me with these short shorts on and these talk to talk stuff. He said, because I'm still a man and I'm a married man. You need to respect me and my wife. And see, women just think that the pastor is so way up there that, you would never. They don't think of it as a man like you being a brother. Because you know what, if we would start just saying, brother, or if we would just look at it as like we look at Calvert and Steve and Fred and you, well, he would be on the same plateau. But we look at him as the leader. And I'm not saying me because I understand, but I'm saying women in general, they just see him as pastor. So, I can just tell him everything. I can just, I can come to him anyway. And I think that's where they, separate you from Steve and Dwayne and Calvin and, the other brothers. I think that's where.
And I agree. I've got this though. So let me stay open on this and then get off. But let me stay open on this because I have gotten great compliments from Calvin. I may not have told him that, but I've gotten sisters that have said, oh no, he called. I really appreciate him calling. No, I didn't feel anything. It's just he called. So then it would to me sound like then for the brothers that you need to establish yourselves first. so that they understand. Let me state this. A lot of times I'll get on when it's someone new at the church. I get on the phone and how you doing? Oh, well, that's pastor, right now. But I said, let me state something to you. First of all, I don't mind communicating with you, and I'd like to call you again. Can I get your permission? That's first of all. Yes. I said, and then I want you to understand, as I communicate or as I talk, this is normal. You relax a little bit. I said, as you relax a little bit, I want you to understand, I am married. I want you to understand, I am interested very much in you. That blows their minds. And you're going to see 2 or 3 of them come in today, and if they were here, they'd tell you that's exactly how I communicate. But I said, but I'm not interested in your body. But I'm very much so interested in you. And I also say this, and I have eyes. I can see. So I can see your beauty. You are a very beautiful young lady. This is my talk. This is real talk, guys. This is real talk that I give them. So I want you to understand, I am not interested from that perspective. But I do want you to understand, I do love you. I wish the best for you. I want you to open up. I want you to talk to me. Said all that. Here's reality. Said all that. Now, if I stop talking, it's just like it is. Did you hear? It's just like it is. If I stop talking, it's just like it is. So then, my next concern is, what did you call it for? So then talk to her about what you called for. Hey, I've got great concern. Where are you in the gospel? How long you been in the church? These are general questions that open up. And last night I was on the phone for 2 hours. The other day, Thursday, when I left here, Fred, I was on the phone for the longest. Till I actually stayed on the phone the whole time and actually picked up my wife. So that's 3 hours when we left here. I says, the next day, the person actually calls me and says, hey, just want to say thank you very much for calling. I don't have nothing else to talk about. But that's okay, because what it did to me was, I says, how do you get that door open? And you can't get the door open with a closed-in question. You get the door open where you get them to respond back to you. Not everybody can do that. I know you can. But not everybody can do that. What I'm going to give you is, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to talk about something, and then what I'm going to do is, and you still may not give me, you still might not want to hold a conversation. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make things break, because I want you to see me as your brother, as a man. I want you to see me as someone that's trying to establish a relationship. I had one sister tell me, I'm not trying to have a relationship with anyone. I said, but I beg to differ, because I want a relationship with you. Now, how you picture a relationship, that's on you. But this is how I see it, and this is what I like for us to do. So, like I said, I agree with you 100%, Dwayne. 100%, I do.
I don't think that's for everybody, every man, per se. I know myself, and my intentions are good, but I'm just not that type of talker.
Right.
So I don't think that's, what I'm saying is that's not for everybody.
Oh, no, and I agree. That's why I said then it's a matter of you be you. How'd that sound?
Yeah.
You be you, because whatever you need to do, you do you. But here's the other side, though. But you didn't call me. You called me for what? So then that's my point. And it's, let me come out of my shell. Where you said that forever and ever. Let me let go of me. Here's somebody that, I don't care if they do think foolish. What it says to me too, though, is my sisters have been into this world and have been mistreated so long that when you call, they think you up to no good. But simply, that's what it says to me. So then what I need to do is get them to see that, no, I am different. And let me say this, in hearing you, Dwayne, I've also had this though. Also said, they hugged me the wrong way. You hear me? So I've had this said, things have been said, me and you talking right now in a situation that I got to confront somebody right now. You know what I'm talking about? Behind a statement that was made that should have never come out of a brother's mouth that I have to deal with. But I think what I'm trying to say is motive. What is your motive? And if your motive is pure, please make the call. But if your motive is she just fine, then maybe you don't need to make that call. Because your thinking isn't where it should be. You know what I'm saying? But when you can settle down and get your thinking to see, this is just a sister. I've always said this, can you talk to a brother as long as you talk to a sister? I've always said that. If you can't, then stop. You hear me? Because I can get on the phone and talk to Steve all a little longer. And don't mention fighting or boxing. Am I right? Don't mention boxing. Sometimes I feel I'm getting him in trouble because I call it the job. And we ain't got sense enough. He ain't got, I got plenty of sense. He ain't got sense enough to hang up. I'm at the job. Hello. Okay. But we talk. Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the reality is, oftentimes when you're striving to reach somebody, you may have to transform in order to meet them where they are. You have to be open and willing to transform, because if you're really sincerely trying to reach somebody, your methods may not work.
Hello.
So you have to transform, because that's what we are to do.
Right.
We become transformers.
Right.
And it starts to make sense when we encounter or embrace individuals, especially on an intimate level.
That's it.
Because it does involve intimacy.
It really does.
Because you're going to get closer and closer.
It really
not
does.
in a physical sense.
Oh, it does. No, and I agree with you, Sister Good.
Well, the comment I was going to make, and I'm glad Caleb spoke first, mine is in terms of relationship with the women in the church being friendly toward each other. First and foremost, like you said, some women are coming from different situations, but you have to present yourself as a safe zone with strict confidentiality. Not only is this part of my profession, but you have to, it's not anything special for medical providers. You have to convey that with anyone, and you have to go in confidence. And also you got to remember to be in it for the long haul, like Carol was talking about. One phone call will not be it.
That's it.
You got, when I give somebody my home number,
I love that.
and you know, they will call me on the most exhausting day where I talk to 50 people.
Yeah.
100 prescriptions. But sometimes I just let them talk because they have that confidence.
Yeah, let them.
And out of that, we get that friendliness.
Right, because we are to be friendly. We as brothers and sisters, the church doesn't know what friendly is. Right. Our friendliness doesn't have wrong motives. It has motives,
yes,
but it doesn't have wrong motives. But you got to understand, people come out of the world,
yes,
and they're coming into the church. So their expectations, okay, what's this gentleman calling me about? Okay, what's on his mind? Let me hear him out, and then the sooner he get off the phone, the better. But you're like, I've always said this, and here's a scenario I've used for years. When I see that derelict on the street, I don't put $1 in his hands. I chit-chat with him or with her. Then I know that person, that's pretty much where you're at. So then I'm going to come again. It's, are you willing to commit? And if you're not willing to commit, then don't do it. Don't do it, because you ask yourself, what will $1 do for you? You ask yourself, what will $5 do for you? Ask yourself, be sincere about that. So then it's commitment. I said all this because when we look at Paul went through hell. I mean, but watch this. A hell up on this one, verse 27. Look at verse 27. This is why I held up. I thank everybody for your comments, but this is why I said this. Paul says what?
In weariness and toil, and sleeplessness often, in hunger and thirst, and fasting often, in cold and nakedness. Besides the other things, what comes upon me daily, my deep concern for all the churches.
What?
My deep concern.
Did you catch it? What did you do it for?
Everything.
What did you do it for?
Right.
I think we missed this. Let me give you Christ as an example. Christ come out of the most wealthiest places you could ever think of.
That's right.
Did you hear me? Christ was the child of a king. Okay? He was the king.
Amen.
Okay. And he came down here, and the Bible says, and emptied himself, Philippians 2:6. And he emptied himself. And we say, what do you mean by emptying? Well, he didn't lose any of his divine powers. That's not what emptiness means. Emptiness means to make himself just like one of us. He came down here just as a human being. He took on something worse than what Paul has taken on. But he took it. And why did you do all this? Because when Paul left heaven, he understood what his purpose was. I say, when you come into Christ, ask yourself, what was your purpose of coming to Christ about? And be honest with yourself. If it was because, Lord, I just need help and the bills being paid, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, something came up and you got your bills paid, then leave. That's what you came for? You got what you wanted. Then go ahead and leave. But you see what I'm saying? Because you didn't understand what your focus, so whoever it was that communicated with you didn't get you to understand that what coming to Christ really meant. They didn't get you to understand. I was on Bellflower. It's on Bellflower, not far from Alondra. It says the Church of Jesus Christ is something. It says, where all suffering is cured, or where there is no suffering. I'm going to take a picture of it. I'll go back, because it's about a house. Where there is no suffering. I said, well, you don't need to go there. Okay.
That ain't true.
Because that right there is a lie. You know what I'm saying? Because to be in Christ is to suffer. You're going to go through suffering. You can't get around it. I said, so then here's my point. Here Christ understood he would suffer. Here's Paul understanding he will suffer. Here's those other 11, the other 12 that understood there would be suffering. Here's us that need to understand that there's going to be suffering. It ain't going to work like you want it to work. That's why when we carry any of us with us, that's why we have problems. But when we don't empty ourselves, then we don't take it. We're not offended. You see what I'm saying? When we empty ourselves, I used to say this in the banking world. When that person is fussing at you, I can't believe you took this money out of my account. How could you do this? You know, I don't understand that teller said, but ma'am, no. Now you're sitting there fussing with that individual. That individual, they didn't go in your pocket to take that. They believe it's the bank that took that. So then why are you over trying to defend something that they ain't talking about you? They're talking about the bank that they feel took something from them. But you over here defending the bank. It don't need to be defended. And so now I got to come in because you got an irate customer. So now I got to come in and stop this irate customer because you didn't handle it right. So now what? Now I got to try to win them back as much as possible to make things happen. Christ didn't come down here fussing and fighting. He knew who Satan was. He knew exactly what was going on. He came down here to suffer. He knew this. Reality set in and he says, my God. Reality set in and he says, what? Father, remove this. If it be thy will, remove this. Remove this cover. Remove it. I don't want this.
Not my will.
But it's not my will. I got to keep my focus. I can't lose my focus. When I came into Christ, when I came into the church, somebody gave me this myth, go to church, God can fix it. God can heal it. Somebody gave me this myth. But let me come on in here, and I walk right out with the same problem. What? And I walk right back out with the same problem. Why? Because you lied. That's enough to turn somebody off and say, why I need to be there? We need to stop. Yes. Come to Christ, there's going to be suffering. It's going to get worse than what it was when you were out there. Amen. Yes, Steve.
I'm saying that every second, Corinthians 8:9, where it says, for you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. For you know the grace of our Lord. That's the way it starts off. It says that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor.
See that?
That ye through his poverty might be rich.
See that?
But I'm just saying, that's profound.
It is profound.
Is that?
Overwhelming. For him to do that.
That's why when we look at Brother Paul, he said for the church, didn't he? 28?
Mm-hmm.
He
Churches.
Huh?
Churches.
I like that. I like what he says?
So his poverty is that's
my stripes, I took them for you.
That's right.
My being in prison, I took that for you. I said, I told you to come to Christ. And the minute something didn't work my way, then I'm good. I'm bent out of shape. No. You are an example. The preacher is an example. No, you are an example to the world. The world looks at you. I used to say this when I was in management. Guess what? When they came into that bank, I says, you know who they went to first? It wasn't me. I'm behind the desk. He said, yeah, it wasn't me that you came to. So who did you come to? I said, you went straight to one of my tellers and told them you like to open an account. My teller then turns around and starts to be either friendly or they could have said, wow, what you need to open one for? And they walk right back out that door. So the first person they met was what I hate to say it, but in the banking world, what we consider the Lord. When they walk into the church, they don't always talk to the preacher first.
Frontline staff.
Come on. They talk to you. They see how you're doing. Some of them have this stigmatism that you can't even go to the ministry. You hear me? You hear me? Brothers, you can't even go. You can't even approach him. So they come to you. They want to talk to you, and then they feel you. And if you say, "Well, I'm glad you're here," but you do need to understand that's the biggest one. There's a mistake you made. No, you're the front line. Amen. They need to hear you. Same way. When it comes down to Paul, Paul was the front line. Paul says, let me deliver. Let me deliver it and then let me show it. Let me show you that what I meant by men in Christ is not going to be easy. I was talking to this young lady last night and she said, Pastor, that's real. She says, I'm beginning to see what you're talking about. I says, you come out of the world with your party on. I said, and you go to the church and you're bored to death. I said, fella, now understand when you came into the church, that's your party on. Amen. When you go out to the world,
that's where you need to be bored to death. I said, but we've been so programmed into thinking, well, I've got my party on, I gotta go find a man, I gotta, hear me? And for a man, I gotta go find a woman, so I'm going to the church to see who I can find, who's available. You see what I'm saying? So you're coming for wrong purposes. Every ounce of it is for wrong purposes. When you come, and I can't say it enough, Calvin always says that, empty yourself. I don't think we understand what emptying yourself means. I think that's really the issue. Therefore, we're going to always have a struggle when it comes to communication. Because communication will always hinder us from doing God's work. Hear me? Because I hate to tell you this, but if you came into Christ, did you know there's a skill that's required that when you come into Christ? Did you know there's a skill that you need to learn when you come into Christ? It's called communication. It's called speaking out. And watch, the last time I checked, that's for everybody. That don't make it just the preacher. That makes it for everybody. We're to go and make disciples. I can't walk up to you and go, come on. You look at me like crazy. Why this? You look at me like I'm crazy, you slap me. One or the other, or you call the police, you know what I'm saying? But one or the other. So I need to communicate. I need to talk. And I always, believe me, here's a witness. I will always, when I first say, look, I am not interested in you physically. Am I wrong? Didn't I say that to you first? I am not interested in you physically. Please understand. And then I say, don't insult her. Because you could also be insulting her. Oh, so I don't look like that, huh? I'm ugly, huh? I ain't got nothing going on, huh? So I told him, no, I think you're a very beautiful person. You got a banging body. But I'm not interested. I'm interested in the inner man, the soul. I want to talk to you about your soul. If you don't mind, to give me a minute to just to talk about, I need to know what's going on, where are you? Where are you? What struggles are you having within life? This is my way of communicating. It may not be your style, but neither is my preaching the same as your preaching. Your preaching. Neither is that the same. I'm not knocking you because you don't speak like me. I'm knocking you because what you speak on is in Bible. That's all I'm knocking you for. 1 minute speaks soft, I don't know. This little bald-headed, bow-legged man named Paul, you hear me, was passive. He didn't speak like Apollos. He didn't speak like Peter. But he got the message across. This is what I'm talking about. The bottom line is get the message across. Learn to take advantage of an ability that God has given every last one of us. So you came into Bible study, you came into worship, and guess what you're learning? How to communicate with others. Because if you don't talk to others, this ain't no church. There's no fellowship. Think about it. I want you to see this. Watch this. Go one more. I want you to see. Back in your Bible. One more. I want you to see this.
29.
Yes.
Who is weak and I am not weak? Who is made to stumble and I do not burn with indignation? If I must boast, I will boast in the things which concern my infirmity.
That's what I wanted you to see.
If I must boast.
Most people boast about what? Their strengths.
That's right.
You ever did an interview? Yeah, you did some hiring. Isn't that one of your questions? Tell me what are your
Strengths.
Your strengths. Tell me what are your weaknesses?
Most people can't answer both.
Yes! Believe me, I used to have, they used to give us, where you got on the when you interview, these are the questions you ask for. Or you ask. Well, you don't go by the script. You know that. that you don't go, but they're just guidelines to help you. But one of those would be mandatory because you need to know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. And you don't say, what are your strengths, and let them talk, and then talk about, then give me your weaknesses. You don't do that. You say, what are your strengths and your weaknesses? So that they know, don't confuse the two, because you do need to, you got to be weak in something. You come in here for a job. You're not an owner. So there has to be some weaknesses. Paul says, that's why I said when we get to the 12th chapter of Corinthians, you're going to see something. 2 Corinthians 12 chapter, you're going to see something. Paul's boasting has to be concerning his weaknesses. Every time he want to talk about his strength, oh! Did you hear me? He's got problems. But as long as he talks on his weaknesses, even in here, you would think God would have gotten it. Because, remember, you're going to see it in the 12th chapter. When God calls him, he says, my grace is sufficient, right? But he asks him how many times? 3 times. But he says, my grace is sufficient. That's when you're going to see something. That's when you're going to understand, what do you mean? Why don't you talk about your weaknesses? It may be beneficial to others as you talk about your weaknesses. Because you know what it does? It helps them to see, I mean, you got the same problems I got. You just like me. Wait a minute. And that's what I do in my communication. When I'm talking to the young ladies or the men on the phone. I want you to understand, I don't walk on water.
So it starts to establish a relationship.
Yes. And what better way to establish a relationship than to talk about your weaknesses?
And it shows that you can come off the pedestal and not be so prideful.
You got it. Then it humbles you, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Then you have an opportunity to share God.
Not right.
I mean, on how you got you.
Because we're on the same level.
Right.
Your weakness.
And it's something because we're on the same level. You know, preachers don't sin. Show me one. Show me one. Okay.
But it takes practice to communicate effectively, because it's not just talking casually. It involves substance. And because it involves substance, you have to effectively communicate, convey it. So it's just not this notion that anybody can communicate. It requires a great deal of practice.
What you say? And this is what we do when studying God's Word. Hear me. Because if you're studying God's Word, how you would have said something to somebody, now that you are a student of God, you know what not to say. You know that's harmful. So I want to say, and I can say the same thing, but I'll address it totally different. Big difference. Paul's concern was the church. He wanted to keep the churches going. He wanted to understand all this boasting that I've done. You know, I told you from the Jump Street that I was going to do this. I told you that I was going to speak as a fool. That's who you've been accepting, fools that come up into the church. So why come I can't speak as a fool like everybody else? I showed you in your text. What was it? In your text? He says what? 19. Look at it. Well, it's 18, 19. It says, seeing that many boast according to the flesh, I also will boast. For you put up with fools gladly, since you yourselves are wise. So Paul sends out a message. Paul sends out a message. So in his boasting, he's a Hebrew, Israelite, Abraham's seed. Paul says, first of all, this boasting is I'm telling you the truth. So a lot of times we say, well, as long as I'm telling you the truth or facts, so that don't mean it's boasting. Yes, it can mean. Yes, it can mean you're boasting. Because what are your purposes for saying these things? Is it to elevate you?
Right.
Or is it to let them see this is where I too once was, or I too am, and as I learn more of who God is, then and then only do I start to reduce myself. Every last one of us, I want you to hear this. Every last one of us got egos. I want you to hear this. You know, men have egos. Stop it. Every last one of you have egos. Even yours truly. We all have egos. The question is, how do you use it? Do you use it for the purpose of the kingdom, or do you use it to build yourself up? That's the purpose. So ego, you know, I got an ego. Well, ego is good. It really is good. That means you got some concerns about yourself. You like yourself. It's how you use it, though. Do I use it to edify the kingdom, or do I use it to build me up? Paul sends the message concerning this boasting. It means I'm only doing it because you've allowed me to be a fool. So I'm going to be a fool. Then he goes on and he says, where we at? 31, he says,
The God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who is blessed, forever knows that I am not lying. In Damascus, the governor under Artis the king was guarding the city of the Damascus with a garrison, desiring to arrest me. But I was let down in the basket through a window in the wall, and it escaped from my hand.
Listen to what he's saying. He says, I want you to understand something. All these things I've done. He says, you need to know in Damascus. Where was he going in Acts the 9th chapter?
On the road to Damascus.
And there's something in Damascus to persecute the church. He says, in Damascus, the governor under Artis, the king, was doing what? He was guarding the city of the Damascus with a garrison desiring to arrest me. What were they there? Why were they to arrest him? Couldn't have been because he had received an edict from the government to go into Damascus to take out the Christians. So then, what then would they be arresting him for? Because he didn't follow what he was supposed to be doing. Remember, I've got approval to go in to take them out. But now here I am speaking for them. So then what you need to do is we need to get him out of here. He's doing what? He's causing a problem. What is the problem that he's causing? He's trying to get them to believe in the SECT of the way. He's trying to get them to understand my intentions were to take or to remove you all, but you know, now that I know better, I'm here to support you all. That's not what. Remember, Rome is in charge. Remember, Rome killed. Remember, they were the ones that arrested Jesus. They're the ones that. It wasn't the Jews that put him on the cross. It was the Romans that put him on the cross. But they went according to what was said concerning him. I don't know. They tell me even one of the wives said she had a dream. Remember? She said she had a dream. Don't touch that man. That's an innocent man. Don't touch him. But what did you do? So that there would be no rioting in that city, then what do? Well, the government has said he's got to be killed. Remove him. After all, didn't you go to the people? Didn't you ask them which one of these you would kill? Didn't you say crucify Jesus? Didn't you say that? So then I shouldn't have had that rally and asked the people, so who do you want? But I did, and since I did that, look at the mess I produced. Now I have to follow through. How about this one? There was another gentleman that got drunk at a party. He was a king. And it just so happens that the young lady that was in front of him was his stepdaughter. But she was, if not naked, so close to it. And seeing her and watching her move certainly said to him he wanted to spend time with her. And so he made the statement, ask me anything you wish, and I'll give it to you. And she said, because her and mama been plotting on it, they decided to put a longest. Bring John the Baptist's head on a platter. Because he said it in public, he's got to do it now. Now he's got to do it. That's why I said, when we look at the text, here's Damascus. Your intentions were to come and take out. What in the world happened? How did this get twisted? Where the last verse said what? What did the last verse say?
But I was let down.
But I was let down in the what? But I was let down in the basket. Isn't that something? But I was let down in the basket. I got to get on the backside of a wall. I got to make sure that everything is okay. I got Christians watching to make sure that I can get out of here. When these are the ones that I'm supposed to be killing. But I got them watching over me so that I can get out of here. That's crazy. No, that's when you commit yourself to the work. That's when you as a Christian understand your focus. What am I to be doing? I am to be serving God. When I get that focus where it should be, that I came here not to hear to preach it. I came here to give praise and glory and honor to my God. I came here to be a student so that I will learn more and more of how to serve the one and only living God. I came with respect because the nerve of any of us to say that what I'm going to do is I'm going to disrespect him. I can't do that if I'm trying to be a student of God. I ain't never known a student to teach a teacher. I ain't never known that. I done seen some people try to do that, but I ain't never known a student to teach the teacher. It's always the teacher teach the student. I've always said, when you think you know more, hey, I go sit down, you come up. When you know more. Now, how does that look? You look pretty bad. Because when questions are asked that you can't answer, that's because you weren't supposed to be in that place in the first place. You disrespected the one that God has selected. Let me shut down with this. We always hear preachers are called, right? We always hear that preachers are anointed, right? What do you think about teachers? What do you think about teachers? James 3:1 said something about teachers. Said what? Not all should be. You sure said it. He said there's a greater condemnation, right? That's what he says. So then, if that's the case, I think it's more just preachers called. I think it's teachers that are called.
I don't see where there's much difference.
I'm sorry.
I don't see where there's much difference other than being in the pulpit.
That's it. I'm trying to tell you. And what you got here could crawl in your pulpit as a teacher. That's why you hear preach, teach. Or teach, preach. That's why you hear it. Some people are preachers. I'm not a preacher. I'm a teacher that preach, teach. I think that's what the apostles did too. Preach, teach. I don't know how we got this. It's okay to put a bunch of scriptures together and just run off and talk. I don't know how that surfaced in the church, but it did. We're to teach the people through preaching. Are there any statements that need to be made?